It was a bright morning when the spaceship from Kreth landed on the field outside the city. The people of Earth gathered near the landing site. They watched with wide eyes as the tall silver ship opened its doors and strange beings stepped out. The aliens were called Krethians. Their skin was pale green and they wore long silver robes. They walked slowly and carefully, looking around at the humans and the blue sky above. Ethan was one of the humans chosen to meet the Krethians. He was a young scientist who loved to learn about other planets. He wore a neat shirt and pants, and he stood with his friend Lisa, who also worked at the science center in town. Lisa had brown hair and a friendly smile, and she was always curious about new things. The leaders of Earth had sent Ethan and Lisa because they were smart and calm. They were not the tallest or the strongest people, but they were good at talking to others and finding answers to strange questions. They stood in front of the Krethians, trying to look brave. A tall Krethian stepped forward. His name was Zarek, and he was the leader of the visitors. Zarek looked at Ethan and Lisa with his large black eyes. He did not smile, but he spoke in a deep and slow voice. He told the humans that the Krethians had traveled far to visit Earth, and to learn about the people who lived there. Zarek began to talk about his own planet. He said that Kreth was a world full of storms and dark skies. The air was thick with methane, a gas that was deadly to most life in the universe. But for the Krethians, methane was life itself. They breathed it in just like humans breathed oxygen. Zarek said that only the strongest and most clever beings could survive in such a place. He looked down at the humans and said that life on Earth must be easy because the air was so gentle and simple. Some of the Krethians began to brag. They talked loudly about how they could walk through clouds of methane without fear. They said that their bodies were built for danger, and they did not understand how humans could live in a place that was so calm. One of them laughed and said that oxygen was a boring gas. Another said that humans must be weak because they could not even survive in a little bit of methane. Ethan listened to the aliens and tried not to get angry. He knew that humans were not weak, but he could tell that the Krethians did not respect them. Lisa saw the look on Ethan's face and touched his arm. She whispered that they should be patient. The Krethians were proud, but maybe they just did not know much about Earth. The other humans at the landing site started to feel nervous. Some looked down at their shoes, feeling shy. Others whispered to each other, wondering if the aliens were right. The Krethians stood tall and kept talking about how special they were. They waved their arms and told stories about the wild storms on Kreth and the strong winds that carried methane across the land. Ethan thought about all the things that made Earth special. He thought about the green forests, the blue oceans, and the warm sun. He thought about how humans built cities and learned to fly planes. He did not like it when the Krethians said that humans were weak just because they breathed a different kind of air. After the speech, Zarek asked if any humans wanted to try breathing methane. Of course, everyone said no. They knew that methane was dangerous for them. The Krethians smiled and nodded as if they already knew what the answer would be. Lisa tried to change the subject. She asked the Krethians what food they ate on their planet. Zarek said that they did not eat food like humans. They got their energy from the gases in the air. Lisa and Ethan shared a look. It was hard to imagine living like that. The Krethians noticed this and started to laugh again. The day went on, and the humans did their best to welcome the visitors. They showed the Krethians around the city and let them see the parks and the river. But the Krethians did not seem very impressed. They kept talking about how strong they were and how easy life must be for humans. Ethan and Lisa began to feel tired of hearing the same thing again and again. Later in the afternoon, the Krethians offered to show the humans something amazing. They would stand in a sealed chamber and breathe pure methane for as long as they wanted. The humans watched as the Krethians walked into the special room. The doors closed and the chamber filled with gas. The Krethians smiled and waved from behind the glass, breathing deeply and showing no fear. The humans outside the chamber looked on in wonder. When the demonstration was over, the Krethians came out and took a deep breath of Earth's air. Zarek said that humans had seen real power today. He told Ethan and Lisa that no other beings in the galaxy could do what the Crethians had just done. The Crethians seemed sure that they had won some kind of contest, even though no one else was playing Ethan. And Lisa left the landing site feeling strange. They knew that the Crethians were different, but they did not like being called weak. On the way home, Lisa asked Ethan what he thought. Ethan said that maybe it was time to show the Crethians what made humans special. He thought about all the things humans did with science and fire and invention. He smiled and said that he had an idea. Lisa wanted to hear more, but Ethan said they should wait until tomorrow. He wanted to talk to his Uncle Sam first. Sam was a chef, and Ethan knew that Sam had something that might surprise the aliens. Lisa agreed, and they walked home under the evening sky, thinking about how to prove that humans were not weak at all. The next morning, Ethan woke up early. He could not stop thinking about the Crethians and how they had made everyone on Earth feel small. He remembered Zarek's words about strength and danger. Ethan did not like the way the Crethians looked down on humans. He wanted to find a way to show them that humans could be special too, just in a different way. Ethan met Lisa at the Science Center. She had been thinking all night, just like him. She asked Ethan if he had any ideas. Ethan nodded and told her he wanted to visit his Uncle Sam. Lisa smiled and agreed to go with him. She liked Sam because he was always cheerful and he cooked the best food in the city. Sam's restaurant was small, but it was always busy. The sign on the door said, "Sam's Kitchen" in big red letters. When Ethan and Lisa walked in, the smell of fresh bread and spices filled the air. Sam was in the kitchen, wearing his white apron and singing a song as he worked. When he saw Ethan and Lisa, he waved and asked them to sit at the counter. Ethan told Sam about the Crethians and their strange visit. He explained how they bragged about breathing methane and how it made everyone feel bad. Sam listened carefully. He wiped his hands on his apron and thought for a moment. Then he smiled and said that maybe the Crethians did not know everything about humans. Lisa looked at the stove behind Sam. She asked Sam what kind of gas he used to cook his food. Sam laughed and pointed at the big silver tank next to the stove. He said it was natural gas, mostly methane. He explained that humans had been using methane for cooking for a long time. It was safe as long as it was used the right way. Sam opened the stove and showed them the blue flames dancing under the pots. Lisa was amazed. She had never really thought about what made the stove work. Ethan grinned. He told Sam that maybe they could invite the Crethians to the restaurant. They could show the aliens that humans used methane too, not for breathing, but for cooking and creating delicious food. Sam loved the idea. He said he could make a special meal and even have a little cooking show. He liked to show off his skills, and he thought the Crethians would be surprised. Lisa thought it was a good plan. She said that humans might not be able to survive in dangerous air, but they were smart and creative. They found ways to use dangerous things for good. Ethan agreed. He said humans like to make their lives better, even with things that could hurt them. Ethan and Lisa left the restaurant and went back to the Science Center. They sent a message to the Crethian leader Zarek. They invited him and his crew to Sam's restaurant for a cooking show. They said it would be a friendly event to show how humans lived and worked with methane every day. At first, the Crethians did not answer. But later that day, a message came from the ship. Zarek said they would come. He sounded curious, but he also said that nothing could impress a Crethian. News of the event spread quickly. People in the city were excited. Some hoped the cooking show would make the Crethians see humans in a new way. Others just wanted to taste Sam's food. Reporters came with cameras. The mayor even called Sam to wish him luck. When the day arrived, Sam cleaned the restaurant until it sparkled. He set out clean white plates and silver forks. He wore his best apron and made sure everything was ready. Ethan and Lisa helped him set up the tables. They wanted everything to be perfect. The Crethians arrived right on time. They wore their silver robes and stood tall in the middle of the restaurant. Zarek looked around with his big black eyes. He seemed unsure of what to expect. The other Crethians whispered to each other, looking at the humans and the kitchen. Sam greeted the aliens with a big smile. He showed them the stove and explained how it worked. He turned the knob and the blue flames leapt up. The Krethians stared at the fire. They looked surprised. Zarek asked how humans could control such a dangerous gas. Sam laughed and said it was all about learning and practice. He told the Krethians that humans were not afraid to work with fire if it helped them cook good food. Ethan and Lisa stood with the Krethians, watching Sam work. Sam chopped vegetables and meat with quick hands. He put a pan on the stove, and the smell of onions and garlic filled the room. The Krethians sniffed the air. They had never smelled anything like it before. Sam told the story of how humans learned to use fire long ago. He explained that people used to be afraid of fire, but they learned to control it. Now, fire was their friend. Sam said that humans use many dangerous things in safe ways, including methane. Zarek listened closely. He asked why humans would risk using something dangerous just for food. Lisa answered softly. She said that food was not just for living. It was for sharing, for making people happy, and for bringing friends together. She said that humans like to turn danger into something good. Sam finished cooking and served the food on warm plates. There were roasted potatoes, grilled chicken, and a big loaf of fresh bread. The Krethians did not eat human food, but they watched the other people in the restaurant eat and smile. The room was filled with laughter and happy voices, Ethan explained to Zarek that breathing methane was not the only way to be strong. He said humans were strong because they were curious and brave. They always tried new things and turned challenges into something fun or useful. Zarek did not say much, but he watched everything with careful eyes. After the meal, Sam showed the Krethians how the stove worked. He let them touch the cold metal and see the gas line. The Krethians were amazed that something they used only for breathing could be used in so many other ways. When the day was done, Zarek thanked Sam for the lesson. He said that maybe humans were not as simple as he thought. Ethan smiled and said there were many more things to show. The Krethians left the restaurant quietly, thinking about what they had seen. Ethan and Lisa walked home, feeling proud. They knew that humans were different, but not weak. They had found a way to show the Krethians what made people special, and they were sure that the aliens would never forget the day they saw humans cook with methane. The days after the cooking show were busy and full of talk. People in the city could not stop telling the story of how Sam had cooked with methane while the Krethians watched. News reporters wrote stories about the event, and pictures of Sam's smiling face and the surprised aliens were on every screen. Some people laughed about the Krethians' shocked faces, while others just felt happy that humans had shown their true spirit. Ethan and Lisa were proud, but they knew their job was not done. They wanted to make sure the Krethians truly understood what it meant to be human. One morning, Lisa found Ethan in the Science Center's library. He was reading about the early days of humans and how people had learned to use fire and gas for cooking and heating. Lisa sat beside him and asked what he was thinking. Ethan said he wanted to invite the Krethians for another visit. He wanted them to see more of Earth and learn about how humans use science in their lives. Lisa agreed. She said maybe they could show the aliens some inventions and machines that use dangerous things in safe ways. She thought this would help the Krethians understand that strength was not only about surviving hard things, but also about using knowledge and teamwork. That afternoon, Ethan sent a message to Zarek. He asked the Krethian leader if he and his crew would like to visit a science museum in the city. The museum was full of interesting things: old rockets, big engines, and special machines that help people travel, build, and stay safe. Zarek answered quickly. He was curious and wanted to see more of what humans could do. He said the Krethians would come. When the day came, Ethan and Lisa met Zarek and his crew at the museum entrance. The Krethians looked different than before. They were still tall and proud, but they did not talk as much about methane or danger. Zarek nodded politely and the group walked inside together. The museum was bright and busy. Kids ran from one display to another, asking questions and pointing at things. The Krethians followed Ethan and Lisa through the large halls. At the first exhibit, they stopped to see a huge steam engine. Lisa explained how the engine burned fuel, including methane, to make power and move heavy things. Zarek listened carefully. He asked how humans made sure the gas did not hurt them. Ethan said there were rules and safety checks. He explained that humans learned from mistakes and made things safer every year. Next, they went to see an old rocket. The sign said at once, "Took people to the moon." Zarek was quiet for a moment, looking at the rocket's sharp nose and strong body. He said it must have been dangerous to ride such a machine. Lisa agreed, but she told him that humans were not afraid to try new things, even if they seemed scary. She said that sometimes people failed, but they always tried again. That was how they learned and grew. The Krethians seemed impressed. One of the younger aliens, whose name was Tyron, asked Ethan how humans felt when they were afraid. Ethan said that humans felt fear just like everyone else, but he said people often used fear to help them think carefully and find new answers. Lisa added that when humans worked together, they could do almost anything, even things that looked impossible at first. Later, the group stopped at a display about energy. There were pictures and models of wind turbines, solar panels, and gas plants. The guide explained how humans found many ways to make power, sometimes using things that were dangerous or hard to control. Zarek asked if humans always trusted their machines. Ethan answered honestly. He said people made mistakes, but they tried to learn from every problem. He told Zarek that humans liked to fix things and make them better, even if it took a long time. As the tour went on, the Krethians asked more questions. They wanted to know how humans invented new things, how they shared ideas, and how they kept each other safe. Lisa talked about schools, teachers, and teams who worked together to solve big problems. She said that humans did not give up easily, and they always looked for a better way. At the end of the tour, the group stood in front of a large glass window. Behind the glass, a team of scientists was working on a new kind of engine that could use methane from the air. The scientists waved to the visitors. Ethan told the Krethians that this was the future. Humans wanted to use all kinds of things, even dangerous gases, to help everyone live better lives. Zarek was quiet as he watched the scientists. He finally spoke. He said that when the Krethians first came to Earth, they thought humans were weak because they could not breathe methane. But now he saw that humans had their own kind of strength. They used their minds and hearts to make things possible. Zarek said he respected that. After leaving the museum, Ethan, Lisa, and the Krethians walked outside into the warm afternoon sun. The air was fresh and the city was busy with people going about their lives. Tyron walked beside Lisa and asked if humans ever got tired of learning new things. Lisa smiled and said no, that was what made being human so wonderful. There was always something new to discover and someone willing to help. That night, Ethan and Lisa talked about the day. They knew the Krethians had changed a little. The aliens were quieter and listened more. They did not brag as much, and they seemed interested in learning instead of only showing off. Ethan said he was happy that the Krethians now saw humans differently. Before going to sleep, Ethan wrote a note in his journal. He wrote that strength was not just about what you could survive, but about what you could build, create, and share. He hoped the Krethians would remember that lesson when they went home. In the morning, a message arrived from Zarek. He thanked Ethan, Lisa, and everyone who had welcomed them on Earth. He said the Krethians would like to learn more about human science and culture. He wanted to visit again before leaving the planet. Ethan and Lisa smiled. They felt proud to be human. They knew their world was special, and they were happy to share it with new friends from far away. The next day, the Krethians visited Sam's restaurant again, but this time they did not come to see a cooking show. They wanted to talk with Ethan, Lisa, and Sam about human life, inventions, and the way people solved problems. The Krethians seemed different now. They looked around with more curiosity and less pride. Zarek thanked Sam for the first cooking show and said it had changed how his people thought about humans. He wanted to learn more about how humans worked with dangerous things and how they created safety from risk. Ethan greeted the Krethians with a friendly smile. He told them that humans always tried to find ways to make life better, even with things that could hurt them. Lisa brought out a book of simple inventions. She showed the Krethians how people long ago used fire, water, and gas to build homes, cook food, and stay warm during cold winters. Sam talked about how cooks learned to control fire in kitchens, so that people could eat hot meals without danger. The Crethians asked many questions. Tyron, the young Crethian, wanted to know how humans stopped fires from spreading. Lisa explained that every city had fire trucks and teams of firefighters ready to help if there was an accident. She described how schools taught children what to do if there was smoke or fire, so everyone could stay safe. Zarek listened closely and nodded. He said that on Kreth there was no fire, only gas storms and strong winds. So fire was strange and new to him. Sam showed the Crethians his kitchen again. He explained the special alarms on the walls and how the gas stove had a safety shut-off valve. He said that sometimes mistakes happened, but humans always learned and made better safety tools. Sam told a funny story about the first time he tried to cook with a new stove and almost burned the bread. Everyone laughed, even Zarek, who was usually very serious. After the laughter faded, Ethan suggested they show the Crethians how humans work together to solve problems. He invited the Crethians to visit a nearby workshop where people fixed machines and made tools. Zarek agreed, and soon the whole group walked down the busy street toward the workshop. The city was alive with sound cars moving, people talking, children playing. The Crethians watched everything, amazed by how busy and full of life Earth was. At the workshop, men and women in blue shirts worked on engines, bicycles, and even small robots. Ethan explained that the workers used many kinds of tools, some simple, like hammers, and some more dangerous, like electric saws and welding torches. The workers wore gloves, goggles, and helmets to protect themselves. The Crethians saw how careful everyone was, and how people helped each other. One worker, a woman named Nancy, welcomed the group and showed the Crethians a small robot she had built. Nancy said the robot helped carry heavy things across the workshop. She pressed a button, and the robot rolled forward, beeping and flashing a small light. Tyron asked how the robot was powered. Nancy explained it used a battery, but some robots used small gas engines, including ones that ran on methane. The Crethians were surprised to hear that humans even trusted robots with gas. Nancy let Tyron and Zarek push the robot's buttons. They smiled as the robot followed simple commands. Lisa said that working together and sharing ideas was how humans made progress. She pointed to a wall covered with drawings and plans. Ethan explained that every time something went wrong, the workers wrote it down and made a new rule or fixed the problem. Zarek said he liked this idea, learning from every mistake. After leaving the workshop, the group stopped at a park. Children ran past, playing games and laughing. The Crethians watched as a group of boys built a small campfire with the help of an adult. The adult explained to the children how to stack the wood, light the fire safely, and keep a bucket of water. Nearby, Ethan told Zarek that from a young age, humans learned to respect things like fire and gas. They learned not just how to use them, but how to stay safe. Lisa picked up a stick and drew a picture in the dirt. She drew a circle for the earth and small flames around it. She told the Crethians that humans were not perfect. Sometimes things went wrong, but people always tried to fix their mistakes. Tyron added that he now understood why humans called them Selvers. He said that on Kreth, most things stayed the same for many years, but on Earth, everything seemed to change and grow. The afternoon sun was warm, and the group sat on a bench together. Sam handed out cups of lemonade. The Crethians tasted it carefully and decided they liked the sweet flavor, even though it was very different from anything on their world. Zarek looked at Ethan and asked, "Do humans ever stop trying to make things better?" Ethan shook his head and said, "No. We always want to learn and find a better way." Just then, a news reporter arrived at the park. She wanted to interview the Crethians and the humans for a story about their visit. The reporter asked Zarek what he thought of humans now. Zarek thought for a moment. He said that when he arrived, he believed his people were stronger because they could breathe methane. But now he saw that humans were strong in a different way. He said humans were brave because they faced danger, learned from it, and turned it into something useful or beautiful. The reporter asked Ethan what lesson he hoped the Crethians would take home. Ethan said he wanted them to remember that real strength was not just about surviving in harsh places, but about building new things, helping each other, and always trying to make life better for everyone. When the interview was over, the Crethians stood and looked at the city. Zarek said he was glad they had come to Earth. He thanked Ethan, Lisa, Sam, and all the people they had met. He said he had learned more in a few days on Earth than in many years on KR. As the sun set, the Crethians returned to their ship. Tyron waved goodbye and said he hoped they would visit Earth again someday. The humans waved back, feeling happy and proud. They knew the Crethians would carry these lessons home, and maybe share them with others in the stars. That night, as the city lights came on, Ethan, Lisa, and Sam sat together outside the restaurant. They talked about everything that had happened, and how a simple cooking show had changed the way two worlds understood each other. They knew there would be new challenges ahead, but also new friends and new adventures. The morning after the visit to the park was quiet, but there was a special feeling in the air. People in the city woke up early, and many of them talked about the Crethians and how the aliens had changed since they arrived. The story of humans. Cooking with methane and working together with danger had spread to other towns. Some people even sent messages to the science center, asking if they could meet the Crethians before they left. Ethan and Lisa went to the landing site to see the Crethians again. They brought a small gift, a photo of everyone together at Sam's restaurant. Sam joined them, carrying a box of fresh bread. When they arrived, they found Zarek and Tyron standing outside the ship. The other Crethians were busy inside, packing things and getting ready for their return trip home. Zarek looked serious but also calm. He thanked Ethan, Lisa, and Sam for the gifts. He said that meeting humans had changed him and his crew. He explained that the Crethians always believed they were the bravest and smartest because they could breathe methane. Now he saw that there were other ways to be strong. Ethan listened carefully. He said that humans never stopped learning, even when they thought they knew everything. He told Zarek that sometimes the smallest idea could change the world, and that is why humans asked questions and tried new things every day. Lisa added that she hoped the Crethians would remember Earth as a place of friendship and curiosity. Zarek said he would. He promised to share what he learned with his people when he returned home. Tyron was excited and asked Sam to show him how to make bread. Sam laughed and agreed. He took Tyron and Zarek to a small table outside the ship and started showing them how to mix flour, water, and yeast. Tyron watched closely, amazed at how soft the dough became in Sam's hands. Other Crethians came outside, curious about what was happening. They stood in a circle, watching Sam knead the dough and shape it into loaves. Sam told stories as he worked, explaining how bread had been part of human life for thousands of years. He said that making bread took time and patience, just like building a friendship. Ethan and Lisa helped carry the bread to a small oven that was brought from Sam's restaurant. The Crethians saw that the oven used gas to heat the air, and once again they realized that humans were not afraid to work with dangerous things if it meant making something good. Zarek smiled and said that on Kreth, people would never think to use methane this way. While the bread baked, Lisa sat with Tyron and talked about the stars. She explained how humans studied space and dreamed of visiting other worlds. Tyron asked her why humans wanted to leave their own planet when Earth was so beautiful. Lisa said that humans were always curious and wanted to learn as much as possible about the universe. Ethan joined them and shared stories about astronauts and the first people who went to the moon. He said that every step into the unknown was scary, but humans learn new things by trying. Tyron nodded, understanding that courage did not mean being without fear, but moving forward even when afraid. The smell of fresh bread soon filled the air. Sam opened the oven and took out the golden loaves. He broke one open and handed pieces to everyone. The Crethians tasted the bread carefully. The texture was new and the taste was soft and warm. Zarek said he had never tasted anything like it before. Sam grinned and told them that bread was not just food for the body, but also food for the heart. He said that sharing a meal could make strangers into friends. After they finished eating, Zarek stood up and spoke to the humans and his own crew. He said that when they first came to Earth, they wanted to prove they were the strongest by showing off their ability to breathe methane. Now, he knew that real strength was not only about surviving danger. Real strength was about turning danger into something useful, working together, and creating happiness from risk. Zarek turned to Ethan and Lisa. He said he wanted to remember Earth for more than just its green trees and blue sky. He wanted to remember the people who taught him to look at life differently. He promised that the Krethians would share what they learned with others in the galaxy. Suddenly, a group of children ran toward the landing site. They carried colorful drawings and little notes for the aliens. The children were shy at first, but Lisa encouraged them to come closer. The Krethians knelt down to look at the pictures. There were drawings of the spaceship, Sam's kitchen, and even the bread. Some of the notes said, "Thank you for visiting, and please come back soon." Tyron was touched. He told Lisa that on Kreth, children did not often draw or give gifts to visitors. He said he liked this part of human life very much. Zarek took one of the pictures and said he would hang it in the ship's main room so that everyone would remember. Earth. The humans and Krethians talked for a long time. They shared stories about their homes, their families, and their dreams for the future. Sam joked that maybe someday he would visit Kreth and teach everyone how to bake. Zarek laughed and said he would like that, even if he could not eat bread. As the sun began to set, it was almost time for the Krethians to leave. The humans stood together, watching as the aliens finished packing their things. Zarek shook hands with Ethan and Lisa and gave Sam a small stone from Kreth as a gift. The stone was smooth and blue, and Zarek said it brought good luck. The spaceship doors closed slowly. Tyron waved from the window, and the ship's engines began to hum. The humans watched as the spaceship lifted off the ground and rose into the sky. The children waved their drawings, hoping the Krethians could see them. Ethan, Lisa, and Sam stood together, feeling a little sad but mostly proud. They knew they had made new friends, and they had shown the Krethians what made humans truly strong. They walked back to the city together, their hearts full of hope and memories that would last forever. The Krethian spaceship disappeared into the blue sky, leaving a quiet feeling behind. Ethan, Lisa, and Sam stood together for a few minutes, watching until they could not see the ship anymore. The landing field was empty now, but the memory of everything that happened felt strong in their hearts. The people who had come to say goodbye slowly walked home, telling each other what they saw and learned. Back in the city, life returned to normal, but nothing really felt the same. The story of the Krethians and the humans who cooked with methane spread far and wide. People in other towns talked about it, and even people in other countries heard about the strange visitors from the stars. There were pictures of the cooking show, the science museum, and the day at the park everywhere. Some children started drawing spaceships and green aliens in their school books. Even adults talked about what it meant to be strong, and how humans could be brave in their own way. The Science Center. Ethan and Lisa met with their team to write a report about the Krethian visit. They wanted to remember every detail so that people in the future could learn from it. Lisa took the photo of everyone at Sam's restaurant and placed it on the wall near the front door. She smiled every time she walked by it. Sam's restaurant became even more popular. People came from far away, asking to see the kitchen where Sam cooked with methane in front of the Krethians. Sam was happy to tell the story to anyone who wanted to listen. Sometimes he baked extra bread, just in case new friends showed up from this world or another. One evening, a letter arrived at the Science Center. The envelope was made of smooth, shiny paper and had strange symbols on the front. Ethan opened it and smiled. It was from Zarek and the Krethian crew. They had written to say thank you for the warm welcome on Earth. Zarek wrote that when they returned home, he told everyone about what he had learned. He said that many Krethians were surprised to hear about humans using methane to cook food. Some even laughed, thinking it was just a joke. But Zarek told them the truth, and soon people on Kreth started asking questions about how humans use danger to make life better. Zarek wrote that he hoped other worlds would visit Earth too, and see the people who turn challenges into new ideas. He thanked Ethan, Lisa, and Sam for teaching him something important. Zarek ended the letter by saying that now, whenever his people used methane, they would remember the humans who made bread with it. Lisa read the letter to Sam and he smiled. He said he was proud to be part of the story and that maybe, just maybe, more visitors would come to learn and share in the future. Lisa agreed, saying that the best stories were the ones that kept growing. A few weeks later, the city held a special festival. They called it Friendship Day. It was a day to celebrate meeting new people and learning new things. There were games for children, music in the streets, and food stands selling Sam's bread and other treats. Ethan helped set up a science show in the park. He showed how methane could be used safely, lighting a small blue flame and cooking popcorn for everyone. People clapped and laughed, and some even tried making their own little fires under careful watch. Lisa gave a speech about her experience with the Crethians. She said that everyone, no matter where they came from, could teach and learn from each other. She told the crowd that bravery was not only about facing danger, but also about asking questions, sharing ideas, and making something good out of something scary. The people clapped and cheered, and some shouted, "To new friends in the stars!" At the festival, the children showed off their drawings of spaceships, aliens, and humans working together. Lisa and Sam walked through the crowd, shaking hands and tasting the food. They saw how much the city had changed in just a short time. People were talking to each other more, sharing stories, and even planning to visit new places. As the sun set, Ethan found a quiet spot and sat under a tree. He thought about everything that had happened since the Crethians landed. He remembered how he felt when Zarek bragged about breathing methane, and how he wanted to prove that humans were not weak. He realized now that he had done more than just prove a point. He had made friends, shared stories, and helped his people see themselves. In a new way, Lisa sat beside Ethan. She asked what he was thinking about. Ethan said he was thinking about the future, about all the things humans still had to learn and all the new friends they could make. Lisa agreed, saying that the adventure was not really over. There were always more questions, more problems to solve, and more people to meet. They watched as the first stars appeared in the evening sky. Ethan wondered if the Crethians were looking at the same stars from their own world. He hoped they remembered the humans and their cooking show, the fresh bread, and the lessons about turning danger into something good. When the festival ended, everyone went home feeling hopeful. Parents told their children stories about the Crethians before bed. Teachers planned new lessons about science and space. Even Sam, after cleaning his kitchen, sat by the window and looked at the sky, dreaming of the day he might bake bread for visitors from another planet. The next morning, life in the city began again. But now, people looked at each other differently. They saw the strength in sharing, the bravery in learning, and the joy of turning fear into something helpful. Ethan, Lisa, and Sam knew that their small acts of kindness and curiosity had changed not just the Crethians, but also their own world. In the years to come, more stories would be told about the day aliens bragged about breathing methane until a human said, "We cook with it." The lesson would stay alive that real strength is not about what you can survive, but what you can create, share, and make better for everyone. And somewhere out in the stars, the Crethians would remember Earth, the cooking show, and the humans who taught them a new way to think about strength and friendship.